Think about this. The new iPhone you just bought. It needs lithium mined from the earth for the batteries, thousands of workers and huge machines assembling it, and most importantly, leaders like Tim Cook organizing the entire process. In economics, these four things are called the factors of production. Hey friends, welcome to Econverse. I'm Abrar and I'm a fellow student who topped in the GCSEs for Economics in Oman. In this channel, we are going to make learning economics simpler, clearer, and hopefully a lot more fun. In this video, we're going to be looking at the four factors of production. Alright, factors of production. What are the factors of production? So the factors of production basically refers to the resources that are used in the process of making goods and services. It's as simple as that. So whenever you look at the factors of production, you want to split it up into the four main parts. So the four main factors of production. So I like to think of this in terms of sell. Now what does sell mean? Sell refers to capital, enterprise, land, and labor. So now these are the four main factors of production, or the resources that are used in producing goods and services. Now let's zoom into each and every one of them. So what does capital mean? Capital basically refers to human-made goods that are used in the production process. So what are they? What do you mean by human-made goods that are used in production? These are machinery and all those kind of equipment that are used in the process of producing goods and services. The second one is something called enterprise. Enterprise basically refers to the key decision makers and risk takers in production. Now these are typically the entrepreneurs or the owners of businesses. Now land. What does land mean? Land refers to the natural resources that are used in the production process. Just a second. Okay. Last but not the least, labor. Now labor is physical effort, that is human effort that's put into the process of production. Now examples of labor are basically workers, teachers, engineers, doctors, so on and so forth. Now land, as we said, could be natural resources. Now this could be anything depending on the industry. Like for example, if we look at the iPhone example, this would be the lithium that's used. In terms of enterprise for the iPhone, it was leaders like Tim Cook. For capital, it could be the huge machines that are used in terms of processing the iPhones and assembling the iPhones. And labor is obviously the workers that are involved in the process. Now, we have the four factors of production, but how are they rewarded? Let's look at that. So each one of them is rewarded in separate ways. Now I want you to think about the most common one, labor. Well, obviously labor is rewarded in wages, as you might think. And then you have enterprise, which is the owners or the CEOs, as I said, of a business. How are they rewarded? It's profits. Then when you come to land, they're rewarded with rents, and capital is rewarded with interests. Moving on. Now we've seen what the four factors of production are and how they're rewarded, along with examples of them in relation to the iPhone example that we saw earlier. Now let's look at factors that affect the quality and the quantity of these factors of production. So this is basically all the factors that affect the quality and the quantity of factors of production. Now let's go through it by each factor. Let's start off with labor. So if you look at labor, I'm going to use blue for quantity and I'm going to use red for quality. So let's look at the factors that improve the quality of labor. This could be increasing training. This could be, in some cases, education. And let's now look at factors that could improve the quantity. Now, the quantity of labor in an economy could improve based on certain government policies, like, for example, the school leaving age and the retirement ages. Another factor that could affect the quantity of labor in an economy could also be the number of graduates that are looking for employment. Now moving on to the next factor of production, let's look at land. Again, we're going to use blue for the quantity. So the quantity of land, now in reality, for the quantity of land to increase, chances are quite slim. That never really happens. But it could happen in one particular scenario. And this is when there is land reclamation. Just a second. Okay. However, the quantity of the land could also be affected based on whether it decreases. And this could happen in cases of disasters. Now let's look at the quality of land. Now the quality of land is quite often used in cases of agriculture. So the fertility could determine the quality of the land. Then the access to water perhaps could also affect the quality. The quality is usually used in cases of agriculture, as I said. Moving on, now let's look at the third one being capital. So what affects the quantity of capital? Quite simple, the investment. The more that a firm invests in capital, the higher the capital that's there for the firm to use in production. However, the quality of capital improves based on research and development. So if a firm decides to spend more on research and development, chances are that the quality of capital that they use improves significantly. Moving on to the last factor of production, enterprise. Now, the quantity of enterprise again depends on the number of graduates. So if the graduates increase, by graduates in this case I mean graduates from degrees in business perhaps, but that really doesn't matter. That could be anything in today's world. Now looking at the quality of the entrepreneurs that come out of universities. Now that really depends on their education, perhaps their experiences and all those factors. So we've explored exactly what factors of production are and how they affect production overall and how they're rewarded in the economy, and most importantly, how the quantity and the quality of the factors of production are affected. If this video helped you understand economics better, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel to join the Econverse. I'll see you in the next video.